All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Luke. Luke, welcome, man. So awesome to have you.
Man, I'm really excited to be here. I think this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and especially after the conversation that you and I had last week, I have been looking forward to doing this interview. You and we got connected through our mutual friend Will, and I want to give him a shout out because, you know, when we get connected through a mutual friend like that, I had already interviewed Will for this podcast. And of course, Will was introduced by James to me, and I've known James for years. But this is once again a testament to the power of relationships, because when we're connected by somebody that we both have this mutual respect and admiration for, it allows you and I mean, Luke, during our first conversation, I remember we started talking like we'd been friends for years, man.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of this. And so,
Absolutely.
what I'd like to do is just kind of start off by turning it over to you and allow you to set some context. And so why don't we kind of start with you sharing, what do you guys do? Who do you serve? What inspires you most about the work that you do? And we'll kind of start with
So I it seems like every expert does this these days, but I've been doing it for a decade. I help coaches get clients. And the way that I do that is with paid advertising. So I've been running paid ads for clients since 2016. Last count, I'd spent over 16 million on ads, but it's probably well over 20 million now. That was a few years ago. So I've got a lot of experience running and scaling profitable advertising campaigns for coaches and high ticket service professionals. So that's who I work with. That's who I help. I also help coaches that are just getting started with paid advertising, showing them how to set up a system. Probably heard of the word funnel, like kind of set up an appointment funnel that turns paid advertising into appointments, and then we show them how to close it. So we kind of work with newer coaches as well as more established. Who I really enjoy working with is the established coaches, because they usually already have like a proven offer and a team that I can work with, and we can scale the ads a lot higher. And as you know, Kevin, like once a business is established, it's much easier to get them results, like when they're already got something kind of running. That's not to say I don't enjoy the newer coaches as well, but results with the newer coaches can take a little bit longer because they've got so much to learn and so much to set up. But and come back to the other question, that's what I enjoy most is just getting results. That's what gets me up in the morning, is just getting client results. I don't really, and we were speaking about this last week, like the money. Yeah, the money is nice, but I don't do it for the money. I do it because I'm growing every day. That's number one. So I get growth out of this. And that's why I left my corporate job over 10 years ago now, because I wasn't getting any growth. And I do it for results. So those are the two things that gets me up.
Yeah. I remember distinctly during our conversation last week that you had made the comment, and correct me if I'm a little bit off base, but I mean, it was to the effect of, just getting more clients and adding more revenue to your business is not motivating or inspiring for you at all.
No.
It's you're already living the lifestyle that you want to live.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It's making an impact that is what inspires you. And,
yes, exactly right.
And that's the way I think a lot of entrepreneurs, we get to that point. We might start off thinking like, okay, I want to grow the business, I want to scale, and I get cash flow coming in. But once we've got that, we kind of look at it and go, okay, we've got this figured out. We know how to create revenue. There's got to be something more. I want more than this.
Right.
And that's when we end up switching to where, like, now we start looking at like, what is our purpose? What kind of impact do we really want to make in this world? And
that's a really good. Yeah. And that's kind of like what's been happening to me over the last 6 to 12 months is that kind of thinking, okay, I'm where I'm at, like kind of financially in the lifestyle. Like if I get an extra 50, 100K a month, it's not going to change anything about my lifestyle. So what is it like, as you said, like what's kind of like the purpose but behind the business. So that's kind of like where I am with, and like what impact am I making? And I've made these realizations that's why I said I like working with more established businesses, because I realize I can actually make a bigger impact. So versus where, I could scale to bringing on, I don't know, whatever, 10 clients a month, 20 clients a month of newer coaches, right? Because there's more newer coaches, there's less of the established businesses. But as I said before, like to get the results of the newer coaches, they have to learn so much in like niching and crafting their offer. And we help them with all of this, obviously, but setting up their funnel, writing their ad copy, learning how to sell high ticket, like there's just so much to learn. And whereas if I work with an established, like I brought in a new client a couple of weeks ago, established 7-figure business, coaching, running ads, they're spending $50,000 a month on ads.
Okay.
And I dove into their sales process and their funnel, and I said, okay, we need to fix this in your sales process and this with your kind of mini VSL. And those things are small tweaks, right? But they're going to make a really big difference. Mm-hmm. And we're going to be able to get their really great product out to, like, their success rate for their clients is like 95% or something. It's ridiculous. And so I'm going to be able to get more of their product and their program into more and more people, right? So I'm working with one well-established client that I can now scale a lot higher. And actually, what I'm trying to say here is, I think I can create a bigger impact by working with fewer clients, and that's kind of, but more established coaches. And that's the realization that I've made. Like, where am I now? What's my purpose? Well, my purpose is to create an impact. How can I do that in the most efficient way? What people think to create a bigger impact is just to scale and just to like help as many people as possible. Sometimes in certain industries and certain types of businesses, that's not always the right way to go. Sometimes actually identifying like the smaller companies or smaller prospects that are easier to leverage is where you're going to make the biggest impact. And that's kind of like one of the realizations I've made over the last 6 months or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so now that we've got a little bit of context set here, we'll switch gears, and I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of the listeners. So, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons that completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so, Luke, that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships, Luke.
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm smiling because it's so amazing when you look back on, it's kind of like the sliding doors type moments, right? Where you realize if you didn't meet that person, like your life would be a completely different trajectory. So for example, I mentioned I left my corporate career 10 years ago, and I quit my job because I wanted to, start a coaching business. And I struggled for many years, like from 2013 to 2015. It was just kind of like throwing spaghetti at the wall, basically, in terms of my marketing strategy, trying to, the stuff that I did to try and grow my business, like it was a lot. And anyway, I did, like most coaches in my industry who get started, we do a lot of the organic, free, like SEO or like, Facebook groups, DMs, LinkedIn groups, blogging. I did a lot of that type of stuff. And I actually got a strategy working with LinkedIn. And it was funny, like it was really good. I built a LinkedIn group, and back then with LinkedIn, you could send out an email to your group, like straight to their inbox. So I'd use that email to get appointments. Anyway, I wrote a whole book about it. I kid you not. The day before I went to launch the book on Amazon, LinkedIn changed their platform and you could no longer send that email. And so I was devastated, obviously. I'm taken 6 months to write this book, got a whole forward from my mentor and everything. And so that not only did my book, was that kind of didn't work, that was obsolete. The strategy that I was using to get clients and teach people, like my whole course was based on this, no longer worked. So people were asking for refunds. They're like, hey, Luke, we can't send this email anymore. Anyway, so that was like the straw on the camel's back, that I was like, I can't do organic anymore. I need something where I'm in more control. It's more consistent. I'm like, I need to learn paid advertising. And so I was kind of searching for who is a good mentor. And I'd been ripped off so many times over that 3 years that I'm like, I did a lot of research on who was really good mentors out there. And this guy kept popping up in my news feed, and his name's Jason Hornung.
Mm.
And I don't know if you've heard of Jason before, Kevin, but yeah, he's a pretty well-known, established online advertiser.
Yep.
And anyway, I did some research on Jason. I found out he'd had clients like Frank Kern and like Neil Patel, Sam Ovens, and lots of other amazing people. Anyway, I'm like, okay, this, if this guy he's good enough for Frank Kern, then he's good enough for me. So I bought his course Sight Unseen. Like, he was selling it via a webinar at that stage, but I just bought it from his sales page. And that's how I was introduced to Jason. I went through his course, and where I was struggling with ads and wasn't really getting results, actually my campaign started to produce some sales. And then what happened was, Jason, in his private Facebook coaching community, he said, hey, I'm hiring for my ad agency. You can work at your own hours. I will be, teaching you how to run ads for my high-level clients like Sam Ovens, like Neil Patel, Mike Dillard, these amazing people. And so out of 50 people that applied, I got the gig. Wow. And so I went from paying Jason to coach me to him actually paying me, because I was a contractor at that stage. So him paying me, and then I get the privilege of working with him daily on how to scale campaigns. So I went from spending $20 a day on my own ads to literally like over $100,000 a month, like literally like that. I was just thrown in the deep end. And from that, it led to many opportunities like writing ads for Bob Proctor and Neil Patel and Mike Dillard and all these other amazing entrepreneurs, and managing their campaigns. But what it also allowed me to do, as I said, is just get into the trenches and get into a situation where if I was running my own campaigns, spending $20 a day, which I was, you're not going to get the same learning experience. Like I just learned so much in that. I worked with him for about 2.5 years, I believe it was.
Okay. And
then from there, I went on to in my own agency, and that's what I do today. But the point is, coming back to your question, like if I realized, like that sliding doors moment, right? If I didn't get the gig with Jason, I have no idea where I would be today, because I wouldn't have that advertising experience, which people invest a lot in my agency and for my consulting these days. For all of that experience that I've learned since then, all the way up to today, I wouldn't have spent anywhere near 16 or 20 plus $million on ads now. And so I have no idea where I would have been, but meeting Jason, and he's one of those legitimate expert, a real mentor that has real experience, not one of these fake gurus that kind of promise the world and don't deliver. Yep. He is a real expert, and he knows his stuff, and the way that it's not only enough to know your stuff, but it's also, you need to know how to teach as well. Like, it's a very different skill set to learning and applying it yourself to then teaching other people how to get results. And that's what he was really good at with his frameworks and the way that he mentored and coached. Yeah. And so anyway, yeah, it's come back to the question. That's the relationship that I would like to honor is that connection that I made with Jason, and him taking a chance on me. Yep. Because that one relationship has totally transformed. And there's lots of other mentors that have been amazing influences, but that was probably the biggest one.
Okay. So if you look at, so when was it, what year was it that you met Jason, invested in his stuff, and then how much later was it that you started apprenticing with Jason?
It wasn't that long, actually. So the end of 2015, I bought his course. Okay. And then by, I think it was about April, May is when I started working with him.
Okay, so just a few months. It wasn't that long. Okay.
No.
And
that's pretty quick.
So you were, like you said, thrown into the deep end very quickly, and and in charge of running a lot of money in ad stuff.
Yeah.
And so you got your sea legs quickly.
Yes, I did. It was baptism by fire, I think is what they say. So
So
it was fun.
If you look back at this relationship with Jason, and if you look at what has come from that over the last, so what has it been? It's been like 7 years now. I'm sure there's lots of examples that you can give, but just think of one that just really comes to mind for you, where you were able to have a really big impact that hands down would have never happened if not for the relationship that you and Jason have?
Oh, like an impact, like with one of my clients?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could be an example if that's what's coming
Well,
up.
it's every day. It's every day, isn't it? I have a kind of two sides to my agency. We have like a done for you, where we'll run the ads for the clients, and then I consult them on their everything after, like their funnel and onwards, like their back end, their emails, sales process. That's where we consult them, but we will write the ad copy and manage the ads. So that's one side. And the other side is a little bit less kind of hand holding. They run the ads, but we like consult with them one-on-one.
Okay.
So every day I just had a client last week who she had been trying to get her ads converting for 4 years. She invested in lots of other programs, couldn't make it work. Within 60 days, she's up to what is she? She's got 42,000 in sales in 60 days.
Wow.
And so she's we had to actually turn the campaign down because her calendar was filling up too much.
Okay.
And so that's just a recent, really one that comes to the top of my mind that's recent. But, I'm working with the agency clients and then the kind of one-on-one consulting clients every day and have been since 2016. So yeah, I've worked with over 1,000 coaches on their ad campaigns since then. And,
Wow.
and so that, Jason probably doesn't even realize that, or he wouldn't know that. But yeah, so his mentorship and teaching has been allowed me to then help those coaches. And then those coaches, as we know, coaching, you can help with dating or relationships, marriages, parenting. There's lots of different areas that coaches help in. And then obviously when they're getting clients, now they're impacting more people. It's kind of like an exponential thing, right? So, and maybe that's where your question has come from.
Exactly. Well, that's what I really love. See, and you're exactly right, Luke. That's where I was going with that question. It's why I love asking that question as kind of the follow-up question, because it's one thing to look at this relationship with you and Jason, but when you really start looking at not just the lives, the direct one-on-one relationships that you now have with, not just even the people that you served, the entrepreneurs that you served through your apprenticeship with Jason, but then now that you're doing your own thing, the front-facing clients that you work with, you're definitely serving them. They're helping them grow their businesses, which if we really look at this, I'm sure a lot of your clients are married, they have spouses, they have children, they have other relationships in their lives that are all being impacted, in addition to, like you said, the clients that they serve and all the lives that get impacted from those relationships. And so the ripple effect starts to get really, really big,
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And that's why I just love looking at, what really comes. I mean, and we're in this example, we're talking about one relationship with you and Jason and the impact that one relationship has had simply because you guys had the opportunity to meet, get to know each other, and do the work together that you've been able to do over these years.
Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
And
Yeah.
So I know before we started recording, I don't know. I just want to make sure if there was anybody else you wanted to honor, I wanted to make sure and give you that time.
No, I think that's probably, there's many more. Actually a recent one. So for me, I really struggle with, I'm a marketing guy, right? So I can get you leads, I can get you appointments in your calendar. For many years, I struggled with the sale, like the phone call sales kind of thing. And it was weird because I could write a sales letter and I could write a webinar, but then when it came to the actual phone sales, I wasn't that great. And recently, again, it's funny how we come into contact with these mentors. Like what happened was I saw I don't really invest in like Facebook advertising courses anymore because I'm in it. I don't really need it. But there was this one $97 product that kept popping up in my newsfeed. about how this guy gets $3 appointments, and it just kept popping up. I'm like, okay, I want to know how he gets $3 appointments. Anyway, I bought it, and he doesn't even explain how he gets the $3. Like, there was no case study in there. So anyway, it was still a pretty good course, but it was teaching stuff that I already knew. However, what was really cool about this course was when I went through it, they started doing case studies. And again, what was interesting, it wasn't his case studies. He just kind of pulled campaigns that he knew were successful off the internet. And one of these case studies he went through was this guy named Cole Gordon. I don't know if you've heard of Cole Gordon before, but he's one of the main sales guys in the industry for coaches, consultants.
Okay.
He runs like a $32 million a year business. Anyway, in the course, this guy went through his funnel, and so I'm like, oh, that's a cool funnel. So I went to it, and it was a short 5-minute video of Cole speaking and saying, hey, do you want us to book you? We'll hire a setter for you, or a salesperson, and we'll place that person in your company. And if they don't perform, then you don't pay. That was his offer. I thought, you know what, I'll get on the phone. So I got on the phone with their team, and next thing I know, I was investing like 18 grand in their program, and for them to get me a setter, to get more appointments. Anyway, I went through his sales course, like the setting, how to do all the setting, and his actual sales process, and his way of teaching sales completely transformed. All of a sudden, I finally got it. The way that he teaches was basically like writing a sales letter, and I thought, oh my gosh, why haven't I done this for years? This is how I write a sales letter, and I didn't realize you could actually do this process on a sales call. And so I picked it up like that, and my revenue doubled within 8 weeks. I went from 50K a month to 120K a month in literally 8 weeks. And so that's again, it's one of those. I have lots of those types of little stories from different mentors that have helped me in certain areas of my life. And I think another message here is find a good quality mentor, because they can really, really transform your life. I study music production, so I've got. You can see here, this is a MIDI controller. It's called an Ableton Push 2. And I've just started after many years of wanting to, because I've got more time now, to get more into music production. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to model what I've done in my business to get good results in here, which is find really good mentors that I look up to, and then pay them to give me feedback on my, my music, right? To give me ideas on how to improve it. So the point is having a good mentor, one that you've actually done your due diligence and research on, can really transform your lives. And often these mentors kind of come from places that you wouldn't really expect, like Cole. But yeah, I've got lots of relationships like that have really just give these little kind of clicks that are oh, that makes sense. Ben Settle is another one. He really got me onto email and sending regular daily emails. And that's my philosophy with coaches, is you need to build your list and send regular emails. Start there. It's very simple. So that's another relationship. But the big one was Jason. I don't know where I'd be without that relationship.
Yeah, that's really huge. That's huge. And even what you shared with Cole, after investing in his stuff and his help, and going from 50 to 100,000 months, I mean, that is substantial,
Right.
And
yep.
And these relationships do come into our life that have these major impact, that really game-changing kind of stuff for us. And it's really cool to be able to, I mean, that's one of the things that's come from the natural byproducts of doing this podcast was that we do get to honor these relationships like Jason and Cole. And I don't know Cole personally. I do know Jason. In fact, within the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've interviewed Jason for this podcast.
Oh, really? Yeah. He was so I have another interview podcast. I actually stopped it because I did 30 episodes, and it's still kind of going, and I stopped it because I didn't enjoy the interview side. But he was the first person that I interviewed on that podcast.
Nice.
I brought him on first, and it's an amazing episode. Actually, it's a really, really good episode, and explains why people don't convert their paid ads and how to get good, how to make your ads convert. Anyway, yes. So sorry, keep going.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Well, Luke, for anybody listening to this going, dang, Kev, I really like this Luke. I like the way he shows up. I like what he stands for. How can they find out more about what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so as I said before, like the best person that I work with is if you're established, like a high ticket coach or a high ticket consultant, some type of high ticket service professional, and you are running paid advertising, or you're, maybe you've dabbled and it hasn't really worked, but you really want to make paid ads work. What I will do for your audience, Kevin, is I have I'll jump on a call with them and map out a free game plan. Now, there's nothing attached to this, right? So what I'll do is I'll jump on, I'll review their ad account, like their messaging, their funnel, again, all free, and then create a game plan on what they can do step by step to take their campaigns to the next level, to scale from there, so they can take that game plan and implement it in their own business. So if someone is a high ticket sales professional and wants that and want me to directly consult them for free, just go to lukesfreegameplan.com. Just go to lukesfreegameplan.com.
Okay.
If you don't want that, you just want to learn more about me, just search me, Luke Charlton. My website's lukecharlton.com.
Very good. Very
lukesfreegameplan.com.
Okay. Well, Luke, thanks so much for taking the time to have this conversation. Any last words you want to share before we call it a wrap?
No, I think it was a great interview. I said what I wanted to say.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. I mean, really appreciate you sharing this, because what a testament to the power of relationships, and just some more great examples of that. And I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation and share from your own experience. So thanks so much, Luke.
No worries, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.